little bit below par.
Yeah, but it's still sufficient. If it was a spacecraft up there, you'd pick it up. The fact the thing's got it's got this magnetic-like force field around it, that detector will pick it up anyway.
Well, if there's any flying saucers about, or extraterrestrial craft, we may be fortunate enough to detect something.
Yeah. If they're there, though, they're hidden well and truly in the clouds. Scan along, look, scan along the edge of the cloud.
Well, the one near the sun there?
Yeah, scan along the edge of the clouds.
Go around the perimeter of that cloud.
That's it, because very often they hide. You know, they use the clouds as cover, and you see the crafty so-and-sos, they just hide there.
Yeah.
I work for the LEB. Paul works as an embalmer, and it doesn't mean that we have an awful lot of free time. What we're trying to do is to obtain either actual contact or possibly pick up some type of intelligent message relayed from the people who man these craft. When I think of some of the sightings that we have had, where we have gone out, signalled with a flashlight, and then had a response to our signal, then that most certainly proves that someone or something must have been monitoring us and watching every movement. It was in August 1961, about 11 o'clock one night, and I was waiting for a train at Parsons Green Station. It was a hazy type of a night, but you could see a few odd stars on one of these
typical
things.
London night.
And in order to pass the time, I was just letting my eyes just roam around the sky, you know. And as I looked, it was as if there, right on the horizon where the housetops were, was a red light.
Like a plane light?
Yeah, it was exactly the same colour as a plane. I took no notice. I carried on, so just my eyes ran around the sky. And this red light started to come towards us. And as it started to come towards us,
yeah,
I still didn't think any more of it. You know, there was no noise attached to the thing.
No, it was completely silent.
And then it came on and came on, and then I suddenly, it was as if everything seemed to happen at once. I suddenly became aware that this red light was attached to something very, very large, but I couldn't see what it was, and there was still no noise.
You began to suspect it's not a plane.
I had my suspicions, put it that way, but I couldn't prove anything. And then, bang! It was as if the whole thing became visible. The red light, if you could imagine that this was a saucer, the red light was underneath the thing, and you could sort of see the underneath of this craft because of the glow that was coming off of it.
So the whole bulk of it was above the red light.
And you could see the thing. It didn't sort of fly along steadily like that, but it sort of seemed as if it seemed to waver, you know?
Sort of oscillating.
That's right.
You can call it that, yeah.
The thing sort of seemed to, one minute it was as if I was looking at it from that angle, and then it seemed to tilt so I could sort of see a bit underneath it, and the top as well. I'll be damned, it was a blinking flying saucer. It was identical with the thing that George Adamski saw. And so that I could see it clearly, all around this craft was like a golden glow around the whole periphery of the craft.
It was throwing out an energy field around itself.
Yeah, Len saw that with me.
Yeah, that's really incredible.
And so did Mike.
Yeah,
and
really incredible.
That was flying through the skies of London at 11:15 one Saturday night.
And you didn't read about it in the papers the next day?
Who'd have believed me if I'd have phoned up the Air Ministry? Do you think they would have believed me?
Strange objects have been reported since the beginning of recorded history. Some a foot or so wide, others 30 feet or more. This woodcut from Nuremberg dates back to 1561. And this one, also from Germany, appeared in 1566. Usually the objects are reported to be circular or cigar-shaped. The earliest known photograph was taken in Mexico in 1883. Several hundred objects were seen crossing the sun, and simultaneous sightings were reported from Mexico City and Puebla. Hundreds of thousands of photographs have been taken. Most have been dismissed as fakes, but this one, taken over Oregon in 1950, has never been satisfactorily explained. In January 1958, a Brazilian naval vessel was engaged in marine research off an island in the Atlantic when a strange object was sighted over the sea. It was seen simultaneously by a number of observers gathered on the deck. One of them, an expert photographer, took these pictures. The object moved at low speed over the mountains and disappeared briefly behind a peak. It was then seen again, flying away at high speed before it disappeared. This film was taken by an amateur photographer in Montana in 1950. It's been analysed over and over again. Some people see two round silvery craft. Others believe it's two Air Force jets, reflecting the sunlight as they circle to land at a nearby airport. Alleged UFO sightings are always the subject of intense investigation and speculation. An ATV camera unit were filming in a field in Oxfordshire in 1971 when they saw a bright orange ball in the sky. People in 6 other locations in the district later reported sightings as well. After some seconds, the object moved off, leaving a vapor trail. Many theories, including jets unloading fuel, have been offered as explanations, and the cameraman included a foreground shot to show that there was no trickery. Detailed examination and inquiries about the film seem to eliminate conventional jets or planes, and these pictures imply enormous changes of speed. Then, at 9 o'clock on a morning in 1973, a building surveyor, Peter Day, filmed this red ball in Buckinghamshire from his stationary car. Other people in the area also saw something at the same time. Coincidentally, 45 minutes later, a plane crash was reported in the area. This last frame of film is the subject of speculation. The object can no longer be seen, and if the camera wasn't jogged, the trees appear to be bent by some huge force. In January 1976, film was taken of the British Concorde travelling at subsonic speed. At one stage, the film shows what appears to be an object descending below Concorde, then ascending to travel parallel with it, and finally moving away over the top at great speed. This is what was seen. And here it is again in slow motion. British Airways believe it was caused by a foreign particle in the optical mechanism of the camera filming Concorde. This sequence was filmed in America a few years ago. Thousands of people saw an object in the sky in the Rocky Mountain states. Hundreds of people reported it. Dozens photographed it. This film was shot by a tourist, and it shows, in fact, a huge fireball, a boulder about the size of a 3-story house, skimming the Earth's atmosphere in Wyoming and travelling on into space. But it's no longer the objects in the skies that are stirring the imagination. Like the angels of history, reports have come of flying men, humanoids, arriving in chariots from the skies.